And this is not like any other event. This is only level 5. This is the elite levels. All right? That's why this score sheet works this way. Now, if we ever do it in the future where we bring it down lower levels, that's a different whole ball of wax we can attack. However, at this point, this score sheet works for this level because you're just comparing them against each other. All right? And we'll cover that in just a minute. We purposefully do not dictate to the teams what they have to put in their routine. Okay? I want to see, just like that letter said, what they come up with. And in the videos that I put online, you saw where I said, just go do your best routine. Use your coaching strategy. Don't ask us what to do. I don't want them coming to Ryan and and say, hey, what do we need to do tomorrow to score higher? That's your job. Again, you're a coach at Worlds. If you need somebody to tell you that, you should not be a coach at Worlds. Okay? Put your best routine out there and see if it's better than the other teams. If it's not, you don't deserve to win. I don't care if the best team has X score because they did X skills. What I do care is if the best team wins. Okay? And the second best team gets second. That's the only thing that matters. Where the scores line up, it's irrelevant. Okay? By nature, we have the best teams in the world here. You've seen a lot of these teams before. Okay? And guys, I don't care who wins. It could be a traditional elite gym that everybody's known for years, or it could be a team that's the first time they ever showed up. I honestly don't care. If that's the team that deserves a win, they should win. Please do not go into judging, and that's why you made it this far as a judge, go into it with a bias thinking, oh, well, here comes this team. Let's watch out for them. They should be really good. No. They should get the same set of eyes on them as this first-year team you've never heard of. Okay? And because that first-year team deserves the same respect that the elite team does. I'm not saying the elite team doesn't deserve respect, but everybody should deserve the same amount of respect. Remember, different score sheets for different divisions will have different numbers. Like at one time, stunts will be 25, and the next score sheet will be 35. Make sure you pay attention to what's going on. When we talk about there's no rubrics, guys, because you're so used to rubrics, don't go in your own little groups and set up your own private rubric. Judge the way we want you to judge. That's why we hired you. Everyone needs to watch the entire routine. If you're, let's say, on a building panel, you're doing the building category, still watch the tumbling because you need to give an overall score. Your overall score should reflect what you think of the overall routine, not the building part. Okay, you're going to give scores for the building part because you're in that category, but your overall score should be the overall score for the overall routine. So let's say if they're not strong in building, you reflect those scores in building. But everything else they did was great. If you want to raise their score up a little bit in the whole routine overall, that's fine, guys. It doesn't have to reflect just what you have. Reflect the overall routine. Just because a team does something does not mean they need to get points for it. We talked about this in the head judges meeting. And guys, if what example did you use, Ryan? We use the basket tosses. Let's say a team goes out there. As you know, basket tosses, they have to have variety, okay, to get in the high range. Now, that means nothing. All they got to do is one kick double, level 5 skill, and one basket toss. One toe touch basket toss. That's variety. It doesn't have to be all this elite stuff. Now, of course, if one team goes out there and says, let's say they do a full set of 5 kick doubles, and then they do one basket toss. That's variety. They should be in that upper range, right? The next team goes out there and does 5 kick doubles, 5 true switch kick doubles. Who should score higher? Obviously, the second team. All right? They did more elite skills and they were better. Now, let's back it up. Let's say in between those two teams, there's a team that does 5 kick doubles like the other ones that's comparable to the other two teams, and they do 3 switch kick doubles. And they're horrible. Their synchronization's off. They land on their belly. That doesn't mean they've got to score higher than the toe touch team. You know what I'm saying? Just because they did the 3 switch kick doubles doesn't mean they should get points for them if they're terrible. And that goes for every category. That's just an example. Does everybody understand that? Don't think automatically, well, they did 3 kick. No, they didn't. That was not good. So the score should reflect that. Don't automatically think, well, they did this, so they should get that. No such. There is not a rubric. Okay? Please, if you're writing, if you think a team deserves a 7, remember you need to write it as 7.0. All right, so it's not confusing to the people who are tallying the scores. All right, write whole numbers. All right, you can go tenths, 7.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. You can go tenths of numbers, and please do. All right, separate those teams. Guys, again, one of my biggest fears, I said this last year, is you are so trained, competition after competition, that you're stuck in this really tight range at the very top that everybody's trying to squeeze into. You have huge ranges. Do not be afraid to use them. Please do not be afraid to use them. If, the score is, one stunt section is from 16 to 35, this team's really weak at what they're doing in their stunts, it's okay if they get an 18. It's okay if they get an 18. I know it's kind of, oof. I'm not here to sell people on coming to Worlds. All right? That's not what we're doing. We're here to give them a score that reflects their talents. All right? If you do not have to say, well, yesterday we gave them this score, so today we got to give them the same. No, you don't. Their score can grow. If they're really good and you realize there's not many teams better than that, they can grow. You want to leave a little cushion. You saw this in the video. All right? By Monday, you've seen all the talent. If you still think that's the best team in their stunts, they should get a perfect score. If not perfect, and they hit it, you know what I'm talking about. If they don't get a perfect score, it should be pretty close to perfect. If you want to leave like a little bitty 0.2 range because the second place team was really close to them and maybe they stepped up their game a little bit, that's fine. But there should be either a perfect score or very close to perfect if you personally think that's the best stunning team in that division this weekend. Okay? With that being said, I didn't cover this in the video. That same score can also shrink. Okay? If all of a sudden you gave them, let's say on the first day, a really high score and didn't leave enough cushion room, and then when you start seeing better teams the next day, their score can shrink. All right? You're going to score where you score, and you're not scoring against a rubric. We're not plugging you in. This is what you did. Let me match it up over here. That's where you fit in. That's not what we're doing. You're competing against other teams head to head. All right? Obviously, those of you who've done this before, and you're as old as I am, or close to as old as I am, not many of you are as old as I am. Some of y'all are, and older. You remember the days when we did this, those first few teams, you're kind of setting a benchmark in your head. Not a rubric, but a benchmark of, if that team goes out there, they're about a, whatever number. Next team comes out, they were better than them, they should go a little bit higher. If they were not as strong as them, they should go a little bit lower. All right? That's okay if the numbers do not match up day after day. Great question. Let's say you have a gym ABC, and they have more than one team here. They have a team in senior all-girl, and they have a team in large co-ed. Or no, let's say medium all-girl, okay? And they do the exact same pyramid. They don't have to get the exact same score, all right? If in this division, they're the strongest team, they should get a high score. If this division, they're a medium team or a weak team, they should be a lower score, okay? Again, it's head-to-head. It's not, well, over here we gave them this, so we got to give them the same thing here. It could be completely different scores. Does that help? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions so far? All right, write this down, please. When you're scoring, if you're scoring a category that is worth 5 points, you're allowed to have a 1-point variance between the 3 judges. And please, 3 judges in your category, talk to each other. One feels strong one way, one feels strong the other way. It's okay if you're at the 5.0 and the other one's at the 4.0. It's perfectly fine. Okay? From 10 to 15 categories, 10 to 15, you have a 2-point variance. And remember, having tenths, that means you have 20 different spots in there. 20 to 25, you have a 3-point variance. 35-point scale, you have a 5-point variance. I just said that right. Okay? Execution score should be pretty self-explanatory. Shouldn't need a whole lot of direction on that. If you do, you probably wouldn't be here. Difficulty, again, for stunts, we're talking about stunts first. 1 single 5 element puts them in that upper range. That's all they need. Now, it may be the very bottom, okay? But again, don't go back to that letter. Not everything they do has to be level 5. It's got to be an extended this or a release that. Y'all, take the entertainment value, take how they performed it, take all that into consideration. Take the synchronization, take all that in consideration when you're doing this judging. All right? It's not just a checkoff list, who did the most level 5 skills. All right? And I'm going to go into the counting part. Guys, I know and I hope that you're tired of counting all year long. Okay? I'm not saying numbers don't matter, but 1 does not make a better team. That means they had one better girl on the team or one better guy on the team. Now, if one team goes out and does 4 stunts, another goes out there and does 8 stunts, and I know you heard this in the video, but I'm beating it to death, which I'm going to, that's a better team because they have twice as many stunts. That's the difference. That can affect the score. But if one team goes out there with 9 stunts and the other team goes out there with 8 stunts, and the 8 stunts are better, they can score better than a 9-stunt team. Don't get locked into numbers. Matter of fact, mentally, I want you to put your pen down and enjoy the routine. And score what you see. Now, physically, I need you taking notes and keep your pen in your hand. Okay? I need you to still take notes, and you need to know if they had 9, because if somebody else comes there with 5, there should be a difference there. Okay? So, to a degree, count, but don't use that as your ultimatum. Like, they should have the highest score because they had the most stunts up there. That's not what it's about. Especially when it comes to stuff like stunts or synchronized tumbling, when there's a lot of different things that come into variables. Stunts, if they're doing single-base stunting, notice I did not say co-ed stunting. Single-base stunting, you need to pay attention. They did the same stunt. How many of them had, on this team, had an assist, even if it's just for a second? Well, both teams had assist. Well, this team, the assist touched it and let go. The other team, the assist stayed there. Those are a lot of different variables you got to take into consideration when you're judging that. And everything that, every category has its own different variables that come into consideration. That's why I don't believe in rubrics, because you can't really just say, well, that's what they did, that's what they get. Well, how they do it, was it good? All the other stuff. I'm not going to beat you to death on that. Okay? Questions? Right. The only 10-point scale, because remember 10 points is 2-point variance, the only 10-point scale that can have a 3-point variance, and it's a 3-point variance amongst the entire panel, not just your category group, is the overall score. That 10-point scale can have a 3-point variance. Because you know what? You just might not like that routine. I'm okay with that. You may have loved that routine. I'm okay with that too. That's why you're a judge. That's why we respect your opinion. Pyramids. Okay? One level 5 skill gets them into the range. It doesn't have to be a level 5 pyramid. There's only really one level 5 pyramid, guys. That's what's it called? Paper dolls. Not everybody. We're not making everybody in the whole world do paper doll pyramids. Okay? If they have one-arm brace flip, they're in the range. Now, other than that, it comes up to you to judge and separate who did a better pyramid sequence or pyramids. Okay? Do you understand that? Please stop me if you're in a building category or whatever I'm covering and you want a specific question that I'm not covering. Standing tumbling is pretty obvious, but I do want to get into that when it comes to the jumps. All right? If you're judging the jumps and the tumbling sections, and I'm just going to use 3-toe touch to a back tuck for an example. This team does 3 toe touches and a back tuck at the end. The other team, that's team A. Team B does 3 toe touches. All right? If both teams have comparable toe touches, they should get the same score. The back tuck does not add to the jump score. Do you understand that? Now, when you go to your standing tumbling section, those jumps in front of the standing tumbling do make it more difficult, so they should increase, if it's, with other variables taken into consideration, it should increase their score for standing tumbling. Is everybody clear? All right? So do not let that standing tumbling that's connected affect your jump score. Score the jumps strictly on the jumps. We don't tell them how many jumps they have to have. I'm not saying you have to have 3 or 4 or 5 or 7. They want to put 2 in there, all we ask for is multiple. 2 is multiple. Okay? Now if somebody does 3 and they did 2, obviously you know how to score that. If, again, the variables are the same. All right? Any questions on that? All right, running tumbling. One of the biggest questions is synchronized tumbling. Guys, I'm not going to tell you how to judge synchronized tumbling. I want you to judge synchronized tumbling. Remember, synchronized tumbling only covers running tumbling. All right? Is it better, because I get this question 8,000 times from 8,000 coaches, is it better to have your entire team go round off back handspring full or do in groups of 5? It's up to you. That's your coaching strategy. All right? The judges will judge it as they see fit. All right? There is no what's better than the other. If they have 7 girls go round off handspring full, that's synchronized, 1 girl's off. All right? You still have 6. Reward them for what they did. So that means 6 of them are still synchronized. Reward them for having 6 that are synchronized. Okay? Now, you got to take consideration that 1 girl's off, kind of threw off the whole pass. So that will bring it down some. But at the same time, they had 6 that were synchronized. Okay? Now, all those variables come back into place. What was the pass? Was it just a simple round off handspring tuck? Was it round off handspring whip, handspring double? Whatever it is, you've got to take those variables in consideration. All right? Obviously, it's harder to get more kids synchronized But when they do it, and when I say synchronized, I mean they blink at the same time. Okay? We've all seen synchronized tumbling that's really, really good. And you can step back and go, wow, that was pretty to watch. That's what we're talking about when we say synchronized tumbling. Just because they all start running on 5 doesn't mean they're synchronized. Okay? Now, there's different kinds of synchronized tumbling. Ripple tumbling is not synchronized. Okay, that's just an easy way to cover up because you don't have synchronized tumbling. However, there's the teams that are going, one kid takes off 2 or 3 counts earlier, the others go, 2 more go behind them, and they all end at the same count. The last 2 tricks are the same. Okay, that is synchronized tumbling. That's just a different creative way to do synchronized tumbling. All right, but they'll also have other synchronized tumbling going on with it. Okay, so again, that's going to be up to you to say, well, they had this and they had this. I think this was harder to do, so they should get a higher difficulty score if they were synchronized. What he's saying is you have a team out there and they do all the, and I don't say co-ed, again, it's not co-ed, guys, it's strictly single base. You have 3 types of stunning, multi-base and single base. Within single base, you have 2, assisted and unassisted. So let's say a team gets out there, toss liberty, okay? It's not a level 5 skill, it's level 4. But that's an elite skill, so they should get scored for it. Don't think, well, they can't make it in the range, they didn't do a lot of, no, that counts to as far as the difficulty. And again, don't get caught in, well, that can't get in the range. I don't care if it's the range. Forget the range. Score them as that toss liberty better than the other team that did toss hands, press liberty. Okay? Again, get out of that mode of, well, they didn't do this to fit in there. There's no fitting in. Was that team better than the team that came before them? That's all I care that you get right. Does that make sense to you? Again, don't get stuck in, well, they didn't do this or they didn't do that. Judge them on what they did do, not on what they didn't do. Do not judge them on what they didn't do. Does that help, Lance? It is not, number one, it's not what they're not doing, or you scoring what they are doing. Number 2, they are scored against the other teams in the division. Now, of course, like we said before, your first 3 or 4 teams, you're setting your benchmarks. All right? Then everybody else scores against those teams and subsequently on. Okay? Last thing I'm going to cover before we break up into different categories and safety, y'all can take off and deductions, we'll meet with Mike. Comments. All right? You do not need to give 1,000 comments at all.
I'm seeing a lot of smiles.
Yes, everybody's smiling. Matter of fact, you are absolutely forbidden to give comments on difficulty. You cannot tell somebody what they need to do to get into a higher score range. If there's no rubric, what are you telling them? You're just telling what you would like to see. You can tell them execution comments. Your baskets need to be higher. Something like that. That's a different ballgame. If Ryan and Amy or the head judges or the quality people start seeing you going, you're slipping back into your mid-season mode and you're giving them stuff on difficulty, we're going to come and talk to you and say, look, this is not what we're asking you to do. It's not only what we're not asking, we're forbidding you, please don't do it. Because what you're doing is you're giving that team false information. Well, if you do this, then you're going to score. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Okay? It is that coach's job, if they really want to change their routine from one day to another, to go back and watch videos of what the team that beat them did and change their own routine. Okay? It's back to the video I put on there. You have a baby at a bar. You're a coach at Worlds. You need me to tell you what to do? You shouldn't be a coach at Worlds. Okay? You need to go back and develop your skills a little better as a coach. Does that sound mean and harsh? You're at the big show, guys. This is not a local regional where people are helping you get better. You made it to the big show. If you made it here, you should know what to do. You should know how to make your routine better. Okay? You should use your coaching strategy. I personally would not understand why a large co-ed team would do multi-base stunning. You're wasting A counts. Okay? But some of them will. All right? For the small and medium co-ed teams, you have to score both because they have to add the multi-base score to the single-base score. Remember, the single-base score, just like everything else, is based on the entire number of kids, not the number of males. All right? Number 1, some females are single-base stunning. Number 2, if we just based it on the number of males, any intelligent coach out there would go kick off all the other guys except that one stud who could stunt. You get that one big boy throw all kind of stunts, you got 100% scoring. You know what I'm saying? So it's based on the entire team, not just on the number of males. Somebody have their hand raised? That should increase their difficulty. If you have an all-girl team out there doing single-base stunning, that's more difficult. Now, within reason. I don't want to promise them you did single base, you get, if they do a bunch of tossed chairs, that's nothing compared to the teams that are doing 1.5 ups. You know what I mean? So you got to take everything, again, the variables in consideration. It's not automatically, oh, single base skill, score higher than in whatever the double-based skills are or multi-based skills are.
But their score sheet is not different.
No, it's not different. You just have to, within your own comfort zone, benchmarks, set that area for teams that do. And again, by Sunday, you'll know what everybody's throwing. Or Monday, sorry. Absolutely. Teaching athletes how to perform.
That's very completely.
Yes. Teaching athletes how to perform is just as much a skill as teaching them how to do a stunt. You know, they have teams out there that we all know are fantastic performers. I mean, they could do a thigh stand, and you're like, that was awesome. You know what I'm saying? And then another team go out there and toss a Kewpie up there, and you're like, they were just kind of flat and boring. You know? A Kewpie is not an awesome. I'm just joking. You can't throw an adjective. All right. Okay, just for the video, all the NCAA people right now. Not that I think Kewpie's any better, but if it's not an adjective. You know what I'm talking about. Come check out my Fantastic. Doesn't work. Okay. Yes. Yes. Let me say it for the video. Worlds is not a skills checkoff list. Worlds has entertainment value, as showmanship, obviously skills, but it's not a checkoff list. No, that's a good point. That could help the overall score. What she said, and so I can get it on the video, is you have a large co-ed team, and it doesn't make sense for most people for them to go out and do multi-base stunning because you're wasting A counts, like we said before. Okay. However, let's say they want to do, they got some really cool stunts they want to show. Well, they can only get up to a 15 to where they can get to, what's 25? 25 in the single base scoring. All right. So they may waste some points, but if it's really, really unique, cool stunning in that multi-base section, that can help the overall score if you really like that and you want to give them points for it. Does that help? Again, it brings up a question of the single base breakdown. Guys, it's a general. I'm sorry. Okay, that's all right. It's a general outline of what's more difficult if you have one person stunning with one girl. Okay? Now flips over. Talks about maximum stunt possibilities for co-ed teams. Okay? That doesn't say maximum point possibilities. Do you understand that? Maximum stunt possibilities. So if you have this many athletes on a co-ed team, this is the maximum number of stunts you can have. Not necessarily have. Okay? Again, I go back to if this team has 9, this team has 8, the 8 may outscore the 9. All right, if the stunts are comparable, but the 8's a little bit better. This team has 9, this team has 5. There's going to be pretty hard, if not impossible, for them to outscore the 9. So numbers, I don't want you to get, I hope I didn't push it too far or say numbers don't matter at all. Numbers do matter, but it's not strictly a numbers game like you've been watching all all season. Does that help?
Yeah, just kind of a guideline of what we kind of...
Yeah, it's kind of a guideline. That's the best word to call this. This is a guideline, not a rubric. We are deducting for incomplete twists of 1 3/4. Should not be thrown at Worlds.
How does that affect the way we score execution?
Doesn't.
So we still have that.
Yes. It's just like stunts. To answer his question, the question he's asking is for those of you who are judging the tumbling category, look at it the same way the stunt people look at it. If there's 9 stunts that go up, 1 bobbles or 1 falls, that shouldn't mess with the execution score of a team. Okay? That's 1 kid who bent her knee and fell. Now, if you have 8 stunts go up, 4 of them fall, that's an execution problem because that's half your team. 50% of your team can't hit a stunt. Same thing with tumbling.
Yes, it's not that they took the deduction, so we can't count that as bad.
No. If you have 1 or 2 girls who are doing, and they land 1 3/4, they'll get hit with the deduction. Right. Just like if half their team goes 1 3/4, all of them are getting hit with the deduction. Okay. But they should also get hit with execution because half their team can't really tumble or can't do doubles. Sure. Does that help and understand it? Yeah. Okay. I want you to enjoy this weekend as much as the kids do. I want you to enjoy those incredible routines you're going to see. Take a step back while you're still taking notes and you're paying attention, but enjoy it like we used to. Okay? The performance, the showmanship, all that stuff, and the skills. All right? Okay. Just to let you guys know, point deduction. All right? You know how teams would like to come and argue their point deduction, and that's fine. They can come and argue it. We'll be glad to watch it again. But the video goes both ways. If they have a point deduction that we gave them that they didn't deserve, we'll take it back without a problem. However, we're watching the entire video. If there's additional deductions that we missed, we'll give them those deductions. It doesn't make any sense that we just watch it in one view or in one way. It's going to go both ways. So that'll be up to the coach to decide, do we really want them to watch it again or not? Okay, thanks, guys.
Nicely done.